she fell in love with him in love. So just that little gesture made her start to cling on to him. Like, why so clingy? She didn't know or care how he must have felt about it. You want to help me. You are there for me, so I'm going to cling on to you because there's no one else like you. My royal babes, a Korean drama, Doona. So who is Doona? She's an idol. An idol in Korea is like a girl group or a boy group, boy band, girl band. And she's the most popular member. You think she has it all right. She's about 21 in the movie. And yet, she has all this money, she has all this fame, she's living a spectacular life. Yet she doesn't. She quit being an idol because she couldn't find herself singing. She was not able to sing. And she felt like she was drowning. She was abandoned in childhood. I don't know, it seemed like her mother in one of the scenes was an escort, or she did a very sketchy job. She was not there for her daughter, and she never knew her father. So, you know what could have happened. Her grandmother seemed to be the one who was taking care of her. But then the grandma died and the mother just left her. She was all alone in the funeral hall. The mother just left. So she had no mother figure, no father figure. When you are like that, you cling to the first person who offers you protection, who offers you love. Doona is a beautiful girl, and she was approached by these management agencies. A lot of them must come, so be careful. And he promised to make her an idol, to give her fame, money. Promised her a shelter, a roof over her head. He promised her food. But what caught her eye the most was, and can we be family? And I say yes, sort of. So that's what she's craving so much, a family, somebody to be there for her, somebody that she can depend on. And so that caught her eye. Being an idol, right, she felt like she was drowning because she became an idol to receive the attention and love that she has been craving so much. But because she was this high, further away from reach, from everybody, that love and attention that she got, even though she got so much, it didn't feel real. Because what could she actually do with it? She couldn't really do anything with her fans. So it's like they were just taking from her and then she could not really receive back. And what she needed was to receive. The manager was a narcissist. So because he knew she had abandonment issues and her attachment style is insecure, anxious. Because he knew that, he kept doing things to keep her clinging onto him and to keep her going back and being scared of being alone. He will say things like she's going to be all alone. And then he kept rejecting her phone calls, not responding back to her. He just basically dumped her, just left her when she said that she couldn't sing anymore. Because one thing that I hated the most was that they were just blaming her on her attitude, that Doona just does what she likes. They didn't consider that, oh, it might be actually real. The fact that she couldn't actually sing, it's actually maybe traumatic, something deep inside her. But no, it's all when Doona doesn't want to do something she doesn't want to do, so it's all her fault. So they're just making it all her fault. So when people put such ideas into your head that it's all your fault, you start to think it's all your fault, and then you feel like, but I don't know what to do to change it. So what am I doing? Like, you don't know what to do with yourself because it's your fault, but you cannot change it. So what should you do? The manager was basically punishing her because she fell in love with him in love. She had daddy issues, obviously. So she needed that father figure. And when she found out in him, and he was good looking, so she fell for him. He became the person that she thought that she needed because he was the father figure and also maybe could be a husband or boyfriend in one or wherever. So she felt like she couldn't live without him. And one thing that she hated the most was people not picking up her calls because it made her feel rejected and alone. And that manager kept doing it over and over again. When she met the male lead, Wong Jun, she thought he was a stalker, whatever. But then later, she started to cling to him when she needed help at the hospital. And then he claimed to be her sibling in order to go through all the checks. And then he was helping her wear socks and everything. So just that little gesture made her start to cling on to him. It's kind of like imprinting. That's what I got. I was like, yo, why so clingy? She didn't know or care how he must have felt about it. You want to help me. You are there for me, so I'm going to cling on to you because there's no one else like you. She basically has no boundaries. She has difficulty with boundaries. Once she sees that somebody can be there for her, she'll cling on to them. There are different kinds of attachment styles, and I'll make a video on that. So the insecure, anxious is relationship insecurities. It's like they can never calm their brains down. And I know somebody who is so much like this. Like they are always afraid that something else may be going on or something good may turn bad. So they basically self-sabotage. Their fear of abandonment, they lack boundaries. Their mood just fluctuates. They will be happy, then they become miserable. And I saw that in Doona. They are very highly sensitive. So just a little thing that you may say, it just pricks them. And they are overly accommodating. Once they take somebody in, they really take them in. That comes from the lack of boundaries. She also started stalking him. something that he wanted so bad that could have paid all his bills. Because she smoked on him, he lost it. She didn't really care or knew how that would affect him, because she was very selfish. She was very unstable too. He said that. So she just focused on her. She did not see from other people's perspective. Her mom was just the worst. Like, the mom was also victim blaming her. The mom was talking about how it's all Doona. She's the one who was choosing to leave everybody, basically. And the mom spent all her money but wanted more from her. They wanted her to continue being an idol, to get more money from her. She didn't care about her well-being. And later, how she healed was that she found out that she could fall in love with somebody else. She saw that she only belonged to that manager, that narcissistic manager, and she could not do without him, because it was basically her first love. She has known him since young, so she couldn't do without him. But when she found Wonjun and she fell in love with him, she knew that she didn't have to be so codependent on somebody. She could rely on somebody else. She learned how to make friends. At first, she was living all alone, but then she invited other people to become roommates with her, because she has difficulty trusting others, and that's also something to do with this attachment style. But then she started opening up more and trusting people. And because she's also high up the social ladder too, it makes it difficult for her to actually make friends. So when she was in this depressive state and she actually found Wonjun and found other people, she started opening up, and then she was able to make actual good friends and people who don't just want her for her celebrity status. Being a celebrity must have made it even harder, because she may have felt like, oh, do people want me to be actually friends with me, or just because I'm a celebrity? She also found that she didn't need people to save her. So what are the characteristics of Doona? Doona has a fear of rejection. That's why she's always crying when the manager rejects her phone calls, does not mind her. And when Wonjun also did not answer her phone calls, she told him that the worst thing that she hates is people not answering her phone calls. It's a difficulty trusting others, but then she started opening up more. She's afraid of trusting people, and then later they will turn their backs against her. She's needy and very clingy. Becomes like a stalker. She's codependent. She'll do anything to be in a relationship to avoid feeling abandoned, no matter what, even if the relationship is not good. When you're in a relationship, right, and then you know that it's time to go, you have to leave. Don't try to do things to make it better when you know it's not going to be better. This is a comment somebody made. One thing I don't like about the Doona character is that she was so desperate for everything. And yeah, it's so true. She was very desperate. She needed love and attention. And even though they showed that she was healed, every human being needs love. So even though it showed that she's healed and then she doesn't actually need that narcissistic man, she still needs love. She still needs somebody to be there for her. Otherwise, it will just open up the void, the loneliness void. And who is that missing piece? God. Like, God made us. God did not make us a literal hole in our heart or whatever, but God made a space for him. That's why human beings will be chasing so much. We'll be chasing money, drugs, women, men, sex, trying to find that thing to close the gap in our hearts, the void. But then we can never really find it until we find God. Because God is love. God is the personification of love. Once we find God and how much he loves us, that he came to die and resurrected to save us, that's when we see that, I've really found the missing piece, like the gap that I was missing so much. Because you can have everything. Look at these billionaires. Yeah, they keep committing suicide and the rest. You can have everything in the world, but you will never feel satisfied. And that was it with Doona. Even though she's healed of her trauma, she still needs that missing piece. She knows that she's made to be singing and the rest. But then later she's going to find out that, okay, I'm healed, I have people, all that. But then why is that important? What do I need all that for? And so what if I've had all that? And then when she finds out that, this is my purpose for living. God made me to be loved by him, to love him. That I actually have somebody who loves me unconditionally. But that does not mean that continue sinning and sinning. But that's a whole other thing. And I made a video on how to have a relationship with God, and I'll put it up. And I also have a free ebook about the unconditional love of God and how to find true love. All you need to do is click the link in the description and then sign up to the newsletter, and then the free ebook is all yours. You can learn how to have a true relationship with God. And a relationship with God is two ways. You cannot keep on sinning. You cannot keep on doing things to hurt your own soul and expect God to keep on forgiving you. Because how do you say you love God when you keep on hurting him? And you're not just hurting him, you're hurting yourself. That's what sin does. So this when he first came to the house, she's a chain smoker. Like, that's all her excitement. That's her entertainment, smoking. It's so sad. She doesn't take care of herself. Her room is a mess, dirty. She's such a beautiful girl too. But that's what depression does to you. I think here, the manager did not respond to her phone calls, so she was crying again and again and again. Like, she was so sad that she made herself sick. So this is where she felt like, he can be somebody I can be with. He seems to be a good person, you see. And she started becoming clingy. You see? So she was there every single time. Have you eaten breakfast? Do you want to eat with me? Like, it's just too much. She just kept staring at him. Imagine if it was a guy. Seriously, this is scary. If she wasn't beautiful, it would have been. You see, he's just rejecting her on the face because this is too much for any guy. Way too much. You see? This is when he made her lose his job. She made him. And because she really had nothing to do, because she was like in exile, kind of. She didn't know people had lives to live. You see? Stop pulling me like a lost girl. But this is what people with this kind of attachment styles do not like. Feeling abandoned again. They do everything not to feel abandoned. Yeah, she's very violent too. She actually was about to hit that guy who was making fun of him, his head. Like, once they feel like you are their person, they can go extreme lengths, and that's very scary. That's the lack of boundaries. Yeah, the jealousy. You just literally knew him, so being so possessive is crazy. She's very seductive and she knows it. You can easily become attached to somebody who is bad for you. The lack of boundaries. She knows that he likes somebody else, but once she feels something, she has to do it. That's why people were saying that she just does what she wants and she's selfish. And it's true. This time, she had left him. She had the other guy. You see him? He came back, and so she left him and went to the other guy. And he kept calling her 15 times. She didn't respond. Like, it's only about her, how she feels. If in the moment it's good for her, she just go for it. Look, she just left him there. I felt so bad for him. Like, what? And then she came back again saying that, oh, he's the one I like. You see, that's why he was saying all that. I felt so bad for him. And people like that, they fall in love so quickly. At least they think it's love. And she kept holding on. At least you see, that's why she's saying that here. Because he abandoned her when she became a celebrity. Because he felt like he was not good enough for her and it's not going to work. Even though he pushed her to go and sing. But yeah, he abandoned her and then she felt the same thing that everybody has done to her with him, even though she thought he would never leave her. But well, spoiler, that's a spoiler, so I'm not going to say anything. If you want to know what actually happens in the end, you have to watch the movie. That's why I said that she actually needs God. Because once you know you have God on your side, you don't really need human beings to stay there. Like, of course, who doesn't need human beings? Like, we want to be around human beings. It's natural. But then you don't actually need them like your God. You don't see human beings as your God because you know you have God already. So this abandonment issues, it's not just Doona who has experienced it. Even in the Bible, there are Bible characters that have experienced it. Hagar, for instance, when Sarah, her madam, was treating her so bad that she fled away into the desert. And then God approached her and asked her what she was doing in the desert. And she told God everything, the angel of God, oh God. And then God said that he's with her and then she's going to give birth into a mighty warrior. And his name is going to be Ishmael. So yeah, So she named that place that she was God Sees. So even when you feel abandoned by everybody, God still sees you. Joseph, who was abandoned by his family, his brothers wanted to kill him, and then they sold him into slavery, but God was always with him. Even when he went into prison and felt like nobody was there, God did not abandon him. And then later he became the second greatest man in Egypt. Jeremiah, who is the weeping prophet, he was so young, and then he had to be prophesying to the Israelites about the impending doom if they do not repent from their sins, and they did not mind him. They even put him in a well, and he was always in torment. Nobody liked him. David, when he was always escaping from his enemies, even though he was anointed king, how long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all the day? I made a video on the waiting season. I felt exactly like David, and I still do, and I'll link it above. The story of Doona is so much like Nevertheless, the story of Nabi. So if you want to see similarities, people have talked about similarities a lot, and I made the video on Nevertheless. So please watch the video before this, or just click the link above and then you'll get into that. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
For God so loved you that he gave his only Son, so you and I will believe in him and not perish, but have everlasting life.